this week. And it continues a trend that we are now seeing 2 weeks in a row of the number 2 team in the ranking stumbling. Last week we had number 2 Stanford losing to USC early in the week. Now Ohio State moves up immediately. 2 bad losses.
I mean, you fear for whoever's about to be number 2.
Well, who do we think that's going to be?
You want to know my opinion? I like LSU here, number 2. I think they're the second best team. I think they deserve number 2. Do I think they're going to get it? Not a shot.
No.
And I'm going to have a mental breakdown when come next poll, we see South Carolina, Stanford. Stanford does not deserve number 2 right now as it stands.
It's just, you can't explain it. What is the AP poll's explanation for constantly putting Stanford at 2? And we're getting pretty mad about this because the poll isn't even out yet.
Yeah.
But it's so clear to me that LSU is the second best team in the country. I don't think there's even an argument. But the AP poll, they right now have LSU at 3, Stanford at 3 over LSU at 4.
Which is ridiculous because last week they had LSU at 3, Stanford at 4. Both teams won out. LSU had that crazy game against Arkansas where they proved they could win a big game. Stanford, you expect them to win every game they go out to. And then Stanford moves up passing LSU. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
AP poll loves Stanford. They're a top 4 team, but they're not 2. And I think it's likely that they end up there. But anyone who's watching college basketball this season knows that the top 2 teams in the country are South Carolina and LSU.
And then it'll be real interesting to see what happens to Ohio State here.
Yeah, a loss to Iowa is bad, but it's a quality loss because Iowa is clearly a top 10 team. A loss to Iowa and then a loss to Indiana, who is also a top 10 team.
Yeah.
But to lose those 2 right in a row, I don't want to say they drop out of the top 10, but to lose back-to-back games to top 10 teams, I don't think you can put them ahead of either team they lost to.
No, they're definitely out of the top 5 for me. Maybe that 7-8 range.
Yeah.
If we're looking at top 5, I like South Carolina, obviously.
Yep.
This is my rankings, Damon's rankings. South Carolina, LSU. I think I like Connecticut there at 3. Stanford at 4. And then I might go Indiana at 5.
Yeah, you have to put Indiana over Ohio State.
Yeah. And then it gets interesting with this next group, the Notre Dame, Ohio State, Iowa. Iowa's going to jump.
Yeah, Iowa's going to have a big jump. I think Iowa could... Does Iowa pass Notre Dame even, or are they? Yeah. I think Iowa jumps Utah and UCLA. We'll talk about the Pac-12. Like so they're at the lowest going to be at 8. I think they're probably better than Notre Dame, but that's Notre Dame has put together a great resume too. So it'll be interesting to see. Like we said, if we're making the poll, that's what we say. But we don't make the poll. The AP voters make the poll. Do the right thing, AP voters.
Please.
You know Stanford is in the top 2 team. You know this.
I might not show up on next Friday if Stanford's number 2, guys. You'll be digging me out of a pit.
Certified AP poll haters. Right there. Anything else on the big game of the week in Columbus?
Iowa